talking with my friend Richard. My friend Richard is an instructor at Atos, Brisbane in Australia, and we are good friends. He's my brother. We used to train together at Fightworks in Sterling. We used to come up in the ranks, being white belts, blue belts, and we became really good. We became really good friends. Eventually, he had to move on to other things, but we always keep in touch. So we have great stories with Richard, and he's here. He's gonna share a little bit of those old times training jiu-jitsu together. Brother, Richard, how's it going, bro?
Good, good, good. My brother, really, really good. Thank you very much, Marcos, for your call. And yeah, like you said, I think it was, if not before, it was definitely parallel. Our great friendship, how our friendship developed.
Yes.
Um, when I met you, shortly after I met you, I remember you mentioned that you were very eager to get back to training jiu-jitsu,
Mm-hmm.
and it was something that I've always thought about. I just never really got around to it, work, life excuses. But we finally, you brought me to that first place that just before fireworks started,
Yeah.
with Matt Powell and Tony. And I remember for the first time in my life, after having a few, not very proud, but having a few scrubs, a few fights, street fights, and obviously not always winning, I went there and I got my little brown butt handed to me for about half an hour by everyone,
Oh man,
males,
that's
females, kids, big people, small people. And that was it. Right after it happened, then I just turned around and I think it was Dan or someone that I looked up and I said, okay, where do I sign?
yeah.
So it was definitely love at first sight for me, thanks to you, because you encouraged me to take that path to start doing that. And I think as in you and me, had a bit of an advantage because outside of training, it was whether your apartment or my apartment, we were always going at it. It doesn't matter what time or what was happening. We were always having a match, and it was great. It was
Yes.
great because it was lively and fun.
And I remember
And
your mom came to visit, and we were like rolling on your living room, and she's like, "What are you guys doing?"
yes, she thought we were hardcore fighting, and we were just a new blue belt yourself and a very brand new white belt myself. But yeah, no, amazing
Yeah.
times, amazing times. Like you say, we share really, really good memories and very fun memories, and it's been a while. I mean, we're talking when
2003,
did I start? 2004, 5,
4. Yes. Yes.
3, 4, somewhere in there.
4, 4, 5, something like that,
Yeah,
man. So long ago,
yeah,
bro.
it was.
I think we met each other playing soccer. Do you remember?
That was the very first time. That was the very first time that when I met you.
Yeah.
Uh, Before this, I think it might have been weeks or months, but maybe a month. Uh, that I had I had the beautiful chance to meet your mom. And the
Mm-hmm.
first thing your mom told me when I through friends in common in Leesburg, but
Mm-hmm.
when I was living in Leesburg, through friends in common, some of my dad's side of the family lives in Leesburg, and somehow someone knew your mom, and I met her. And I just obviously I went to say hello to her very respectfully, and she goes, "Oh, you look just like my son." Back then, I used to shave my head, and she said, "Yeah, you look just like one of my sons, the last one." I'm like, "Oh, is he a model?" "Yeah, oh, yeah, he's beautiful and he's funny." And I mean, I didn't know your mom had a vision problems when I met you. It just
She's
I
always
was a bit
been
surprised. But so I met
short-sighted.
your mom, and then we went to play soccer near to the place where I used to live,
Mm-hmm.
behind that high school. And when I met you, I just went to say hello to you. I went to say hello to everybody. I went to shake hands. And hey, how you going? What's your name? And then you said, yeah, Marco. Oh, yeah, I'm Richard. Oh, you are Richard. And I'm like,
Yes, yes.
how do you, I
I
just
knew
met you.
about you. I knew about you. Yes. Uh,
Yeah, that's not.
common friends. They were always talking about you. So I
Yeah,
knew um, there was a Richard out there. You know
already doing damage.
exactly. So, bro, training together, right? What do you remember the most of
Oh,
those days?
what I truly remember, because I mean, much like this at this point, that even though we haven't seen each other in a few years, it was always like we were brothers. The
Yes,
age difference not much, and such as we
yes,
try to kill each other all the time. So we were probably the best complement for each other because everything we've learned,
yes,
we definitely put it to practice,
yeah,
and we help each other to better,
yeah,
constantly. And everybody knew. I mean,
bro.
every time, very very few times that I show up to training and you weren't there because of work or whatever reason, the first question was, "Where's Marcos?" I'm like, "Oh,
Yes.
hi." I'm pretty sure he's busy. I don't know. I don't live with him. I love him, but I don't live with him.
Right, right, right. Bro, you had the biggest collection of UFC DVDs and Pride. We'll watch them, right?
But that was exactly, see, when shortly after we met, and you told me that you were doing jiu-jitsu back in Peru, because
Exactly.
you're from the north of Peru. I had to show you my collection because I
Yes.
am a huge fan, and I am a huge fan of the old school, which there is not much BS, excuse
Yes.
my French,
You
but
had you had
basic stuff,
the
amazing.
very first UFCs and the
I
Prides.
had all,
You had
I had
all of
all
them.
of them. See, I remember back in those days, oh 05, oh 06, Blockbuster was going out of business,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to just drive around Sterling, Ashgrove, no, what's it called?
Ashburn, Ashburn.
Ashburn. There's an Ashgrove here. Ashburn, Sterling, Herndon, anywhere near there, and drove by the Blockbuster chain, the shops, and they would have all these VCRs and DVDs for like $2, $3, $5 because they
Yeah.
were out of business. So I was just going anywhere every time I had a chance. Just I had to go and make my collection bigger and bigger. And the documentaries we used to watch, Life in the Cage and the
Yeah.
Smashing Machine, and
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yes. Marker, the smashing
exactly.
machine.
We watched that over and over. And again, that's the thing. That's what I remember about us. Whatever we watched, it didn't matter what time it was, if we just had dinner or not, or anything. We watched
We were
something,
talking.
boom, on the ground.
And then we were
He's
doing
doing
the
some.
techniques.
Yes,
Man, we'll watch
yes.
like Tang Abbott and we'll like try to
Oh,
do
everything, anything and
anything.
everything they did back then. It was great. Yeah.
Which fighter do you remember from back in the day for you the UFCs? You know, one fight that you make me watch that I didn't know, I wasn't aware of, was the guy who knocked out Mark Coleman, Pete
Pete Williams.
Pete
Pete El
Williams.
Duro. Yeah.
Pete
From the
Williams.
Lions.
Bro, you saw somebody because I thought Mark Coleman was the man, right? And you said like,
Oh,
man,
he
Pete,
was. He
Pete Williams
was.
beat Mark Coleman. See, watch. And then you showed me that fight. Oh man, from the Lions then.
See, I remember I got that image obviously got stuck in my head when I got it was the first I think it was the first volume of Ultimate Knockouts 1 and 2 because they combined it in a video, and
Yes.
that was,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yes.
that's where I watched that. Yes,
Ultimate
and I
knockouts.
was like, whoa! And this back then, Pete Williams was 20 years old, and it was unheard of that someone that young could actually have those kind of skills at a heavyweight division, and it was
Mm-hmm.
just mind blowing.
Yeah. From Pride, fights, memorable fights that you remember? I
Oh,
guess
there
the
is good fights.
Sakurabas fights.
The Sakuraba fights were yeah, they were amazing. One fight that I do remember, it was great, mainly because it wasn't a fight based on regulations. It was the fight that everybody wanted to see. Mirko Krokop versus Vanderlei Silva.
Vanderlei,
Oh, it was
man.
amazing. That fight was amazing. And then how Quinton Jackson getting triangled by Ricardo Arona,
Arona.
and then he slamming on the ground, knocked out. That was great. Those were the days
Damn, that was amazing.
when the soccer kicks were illegal. Yeah, Kevin Randleman, Kimura, and Fedor Emelianenko, and then Fedor picked him up. Oh no,
No. Randleman
slammed- he slammed him, and he
slammed
wouldn't let go,
Fedor.
and ultimately he got it. Yeah.
Fedor was the best. Fedor was scary.
Yes,
Fedor
and
Emelian.
his brother was scarier looking, but Fedor was amazing.
His brother would never smile, right?
Yes, yes.
Intimidating.
I remember also from because at one point it was the Militich camp from Pat Militich.
Mm-hmm.
They had a guy that was he's always been underrated. I don't know why, but he was an amazing fighter. And this guy, what caught my attention was the fact that extremely experienced, but he was just one more fighter. He never trash talk anyone. He never really made a scene or a show to get fights. He was just an amazing fighter. Jeremy Horn.
Oh,
I remember.
grappler.
So, yeah,
Jeremy
he had
Horn.
like 100+ fights in
Submissions.
jiu-jitsu and grappling tournaments before UFC. That you just don't hear that. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't happen. And this guy was the foundation to get guys like Matt Hughes and Tim Sylvia
Mm-hmm.
and like back then those type of champions.
I
It was
remember.
Robbie Lawler.
I remember Jeremy
Uh,
Horn.
yeah, but that's the thing though. He never really stood out much, but he's got so many fights, and that guy's jiu-jitsu is sick.
Yeah.
He was. This is back then when everything wasn't as televised. Dream fights, like for instance, Jeremy Horn versus
Chuck Liddell.
Dean Lex, for instance. No, but I'm talking about grappling.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't like a few, maybe Naga or Grappler's Quest. It was just an amazing fight to watch. It's not easy to
Oh,
find.
just grappling.
And,
Okay.
yeah, because that's what his game was
Yeah.
originally. He was a natural. He's an amazing grappler. He doesn't really do that anymore at all. He's into something else. I actually not too long ago I looked him up and he's into some shooting range games or something.
Okay.
But anyways, those were the days that you know just getting with those names and the guys that you look up to.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember when it was my first tournament in Ohio, the Gracie Nationals.
That was your first tournament?
That was my first tournament.
Before Copa Nova and before.
Before anything, that was my
Man.
very first tournament.
So we drove 8 hours to Ohio.
We rented a car.
You drove
and we drove an hour.
in your you had a Mazda.
Yeah.
What was the mod?
MX6,
Huh?
MX6.
Bro, nice car. You used to like used to
I
ride.
treated that car like it was a four-wheel drive.
Bro, you
I,
drove
I
crazy.
That car did everything for me. I don't even know how, but yeah, it was very reliable.
Yeah, I don't know how
But yeah,
that car hold
the
up.
Gracie Nationals was my first tournament.
Bro, you spit the entire 8 hours. You were spitting on this cup on the way to the tournament. By the
I needed
time
to
we
make
get
weight.
to Ohio, the freaking cup was just disgusting.
I remember I needed to cut 3 or 4 kilos or something like that. And I remember reading somewhere that it was a wrestler's technique. It's not the healthiest technique. I don't think I recommend it to anybody, but I needed to make weight. I was going to fight, and nothing was going to stop me from competing in that tournament. So I think I just found out about it a day or two before we went there. And then when you saw me spitting on a cup, you were like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm just trying
Yeah.
to make weight. Why? And then I explained to you, if I spit on this cup, then I kind of get dehydrated, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna make weight.
And you
And you were
still
like, "That's not good, that's crazy," but I had to do it. And yeah, it was 8 hours of spitting.
and then you still didn't make weight, bro.
I didn't make weight the next morning, and then I went for a run and made weight.
Yes, they had you running. You were running outside the stadium. Bro, Christian Garcia, he says, what's up, Richard? How are you? Noel Houston.
Hey, my man. Go ahead.
Oh my God, too much handsome in one video. Of course, he's referring to me. Thank you, Noel.
The signal is probably not right in his computer, so on his device.
Bro, so that tournament is something funny. I remember you were square
There
with
is
this guy, right? And
there
he
were
kind of
there's a
went for
couple.
like a collar tie and something, and you freaking smack him back. And the referee kind of warned you, "Hey, wait, what are you doing? What
I
happened,
was
bro?"
about to get disqualified. I was about to get disqualified first fight, right? But first of all, just one detail that I'll take this. I share this as much as I can to some people. Back in those days, I don't know if you remember that those original jiu-jitsu tournament formats. Back in those days, you weigh in the morning once, and that's it. You
Yes.
weigh in with your kimono, done deal. You're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Higher belts used to go first. I used to think it was some kind of a respectful thing because there is less, let's say, there is less amount of black belts competing than there is white belts. So if the black belts compete first, not only we get the show, but then they have the time to coach us later on our fights. That's what I used to think of. That's the way it used to be, that format. What I remember is, the speeding on the couch the day before, not eating anything, going for a run after I missed weight, and then finally making weight. I had my bananas and my Gatorade ready. Something like around 9:30 a.m. I remember that clearly. It was very early, and it was a huge venue. Which I
Yeah.
think it was the Nationwide Arena or something like that.
Yeah, Ohio.
I can't. One of
Uh,
them, yeah, because we were there like 2 or 3 times. But this tournament, right before my fight, and I didn't know, I wasn't aware of this. I just wanted to fight. I think I fought somewhere around 6 or 7 p.m.
yes, yes,
Like
yes, yes,
all
yes,
day. All I had was two freaking bananas and a bottle of Gatorade
bro.
because I was so afraid of not making weight, and I was so hungry. Most of you guys went to have lunch, and I was still there waiting. Oh, maybe they're gonna call my name. I
That,
wasn't
that
aware
that
with it.
that's the thing. You need to know if you had to eat, you had to go to the bathroom. What if they call
You had
you?
exactly. You had no clue what was going on. You had to be there, no matter
You
what. And I
just
remember I was so over it. I was so hungry and weak and tired. But I'm
oh
like, no,
man, the weight
I'm
destroys
going
you.
to fight. So then finally they called my name, and then up to facing this guy, this young guy. And what I remember is because the first few seconds or maybe minute of the fight, it just blurred because you start thinking, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah, yeah,
Am I
yes.
actually? And then like I was a bit in shock. Like, okay, well I'm here. Let's do this, right? And this guy had a wrestling background. I've never
Mm-hmm.
wrestled before in my life. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the wrestling moves or techniques or nothing at all. And I'm facing this guy, and he's going for either the back of my neck, but at one point he's tapping me with his hand, he just palm, in the forehead. And
Okay.
then I just, like, I'm in front of him, and I feel the
Right.
and then I look at our coaches, like, and then I look at the ref, and no one is saying anything. And he's in front of me, and then he does it again. And then I'm looking, okay, I guess we're allowed to do this. And then I went boom, but I got him in the nose.
Oh, what's in the nose?
I got him in the
Man.
nose, and then he obviously stood back, and then he started bleeding, and everyone was actually getting, like all right, all crazy about this. And I'm like, he hit
Yeah.
me twice, and you guys didn't say anything. I hit him once, and you'll cry. What's going on?
Yeah, yeah,
And then I think it's Tony. Tony pulled me aside. He goes, "No, but you're not supposed to hit him like that." And I'm like, "You saw him hitting me twice in the face. He didn't hit you in the face." Yes, he did. He hit you in the forehead. It's a wrestler's tap. I'm like, "Well, you didn't tell me that. No one's done that before to me. You either
bro.
grab the sleeves or grab the elbows." And then because the ref was actually hearing what Tony was telling me, and I'm like, "Well, I'm really sorry. I didn't know that. This is a jiu-jitsu tournament. It's not a wrestling tournament."
Yeah.
And it might have been the fact that back then there were a little bit of controversial, like, merging rules and what's allowed and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
We continue with the fight.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yes.
continue with the fight. And then I made the first big mistake, and I had to work. I think it took me a few tournaments to work through this mistake. I made a mistake of I can't remember how the fight went, to be honest, but I remember getting him on an armbar,
Really?
and I gave him an armbar, and I have the armbar. I'm laying down, my legs on top of him. I'm pulling, and then I let him go, and I let him go, and
Because
he turns around and gets inside of my guard,
yeah,
and then I'm like, everyone like, and then then it was Dave and Scott at the time, not Scott Howard, the other Scott. He was like, he didn't tap, and I'm like, yeah, but I had him. Yeah, but you let go. No, but I had it. Like, I had the armbar. Yes, but he didn't tap. Yeah, but you saw me. I had it. Yeah, but you let go. So that was the first big lesson. I think it was.
and
I
then
don't know if you remember Steve Trumpet.
bro, Steve, I remember him.
Oh, he's a machine.
Amazing.
He gave me in this and another tournament two huge advice. He said, the refs are there to protect you guys, right? Yeah. So he has to tap. If he was all the way around and he's hurting you, you tap,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Makes
So you
sense.
don't let go till either he taps or the ref stops the fight. You're not the ref. And I'm like, okay, now it didn't learn my lesson actually there. I lost a few other tournaments or fights because of that silly
Bro,
mistake.
was
Had the submission, let go.
and then you lost the match. You lost
I
the
lost
match.
that match and that was it.
Yeah. Bro, I remember. Was that the tournament that I went against Ryan Hall? That you always make fun of me.
I think it was one of them. I think it was one of them.
Bro, so I was. It was my fight was even later, 10 p.m., 11 p.m., and
So
I signed up for the absolute, I think, and
yeah,
then they put me against a guy I was about to fight, and they said, no, 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 Ryan Hall, because he was doing. Man, I saw Ryan Hall the entire day, like having matches all over the place. I don't know how he was doing. He's submitting everybody, right? And then he came, and they said, no, he was on the other mat. Now it's all chaos, those days, right? No, nothing very, very well organized. And then all of a sudden, I'm there in front of Ryan Hall, and I didn't know who this guy was. And I think you came and you said, man, somebody came and say, hey, be careful of his triangles,
it wasn't me. I heard that too.
right?
Yes,
I was
I heard
like,
it.
what? Who's that guy? Bro, he triangled me in like 2 seconds.
I remember that much because it was close to the where people sit. We were just watching there, and you went in. I think he let you think you took him down, and then he just went wrapped his legs around your head and done.
Yeah. To
And
to be
literally,
honest, to be honest, I defended triangle. He went for a second triangle, and then he armbar me like it was a triangle armbar.
yeah, no, it was once he locked it in, it was done. It was yeah.
You always
But
make fun of me for that.
I think fun of you because like after that fight, every single tournament we went to, you had to go against him, and it wasn't just you. Rarely or no one really at that level could actually get through him because
Nobody,
you
nobody.
got your blue before me. You obviously have more experience. You got your purple before me. Once I got my blue and you were purple and we were competing, who were you going to go up against? Ryan Hall. But it's also because back then there weren't that many big gyms going on, or not necessarily big, but competitive in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember every other tournament that we went to, I mean, because obviously we got to fight each other locally as much. The Lloyd Irvin team, which is
Yes,
where Ryan Hall
they
was
were
training
very.
out of,
Yeah, yeah, yes. He was Lloyd
and
Irving. Yes, people forget about
yeah,
that.
and the Pedro Sauer team.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember fighting Pedro Sauer team. I mean, guys, countless
Yeah,
times because
yeah.
every time we went to a tournament and Helson was with us, they're friends. And
Yes.
I remember, like, at one point, I'm fighting. I got the photo. I got a photo white belt with Helson Gracie. I think it was 2006, another national, Gracie National. And this is my second fight. The first one, I think I won by points, and the second one I won by submission. And Pedro Sauer is standing right next to Helson. I didn't know Pedro Sauer back then. I've never met him before. I see what he looks like. And I just see a guy standing right next to Helson and very friendly and talking. And I'm finishing the fight and I'm going to lay somewhere to chill. And he grabs my shoulder and he goes, "Hey man, can you start beating up my guys?" I'm like, "Oh, sorry, brother."
Really, Pedro?
Yeah, but
Man, he's the nicest guy,
it was,
Pedro.
yeah, it was very, very nice. Because I was like,
Bro.
"Oh, sorry," because he's bigger than me. I'm like, "Oh, sorry about that." He goes, "No, I'm kidding. Good work. Keep going." And then I just went to kind of like lay down.
Bro, how amazing opportunity for us to train with like Helson, right?
It was, yeah, definitely a unique opportunity.
And
You
also the
remember
team.
when he? Sorry to interrupt you. You remember when the first time he brought a Daniel Moraes, his
Bro,
first.
Daniel Moraes
those
was a
go-
monster, man.
those he was a pit bull. This guy had like no neck and what? I remember. I think it was Tony. Yeah, because Dan couldn't wrap his couldn't close the triangle on him, but I think Tony closed the triangle on him, and he couldn't finish him.
Yes,
He
yes,
could
yes.
not finish. I was like, wow, like that's kind of what I want to look like later on.
Yes,
It was
yeah. He was not only strong but agile. Like
yes,
he beat,
extremely.
bro. You
Yeah,
know he beat Marcelo Garcia, Daniel Moraes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He
One
beat
of two.
Marcelo to qualify for Abu Dhabi,
Mm-hmm.
but then Marcelo ended up also competing in Abu Dhabi. You know,
Yeah,
and then Marcelo destroyed everybody in that tournament, but Daniel
yeah.
lost. So kind of Marcelo took his career took over better more
Mm.
than Daniel Moraes. But Daniel Moraes had that level to like beat Marcelo, and he was
I
agile and strong and technique, complete package. You know.
yeah. Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing that those seminars that I think it was might have been a week or something like that. We got a chance to train with him. It was just amazing to see someone at that caliber
Yes.
training with us on a daily basis. Again, one of the nicest guys you've ever met, uh, but just impossible to do anything to him. And I think either he was one of, at the time, one of the best Hells and Graces black belt, or the first Hells and Graces black belt. I'm not too sure about that one. I can't remember, but it was an amazing opportunity. It
Yeah.
was great.
Bro, in the school too, now that you mentioned Tony, man, they were tough guys. Like I sparred with Tony a few times and I could never do anything to him. Tony,
Uh,
Matt, Albert, Dave Patton.
Dave was, it was, what the reason why it was, I don't think I actually missed out on any of Dave's class, especially Dave's warm up,
Bro,
because they were insane. I mean, this guy would make you do 100 sprawls, and not the regular sprawls where you jump and clap. No, this is MMA sprawls. You got to jump and get up once
the whole thing.
all together. And what I like about it was that I used to piss him off so easily. Anything. It was just so easy to make him mad. And he will blame me to make everyone else do 50 more sprawls. And it was great. I mean, everyone hated me for that, but it was just great because also not only he said that, like he set that up like, oh, thanks to Rich, now you guys got to do 50 more sprawls. He would actually do it, and he would
He will do
finish
it.
first.
He
And
will finish
and
first.
at the time I think he was 203 years old or something, 3.
No, no,
And
he
I'm
was
like,
on
wow,
his
this
late
guy
30s,
is
maybe
amazing.
early 40s, maybe at that time.
He's
But
I
he's still in top shape for what I heard, and
I
he's
don't
still
doubt.
super strong. And because
Yeah,
people were talking about Dave Patton, and people don't know, but when we went to those nationals, at the Arnolds, they were doing all different kind of other
martial
disciplines,
arts,
and
exactly.
there were people who were like stopping him to take pictures with him because he's a famous arm wrestler.
Yeah.
right? And then we had the chance to train with him, train jiu-jitsu, and then because he was training jiu-jitsu too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but look, let me correct you. He's not just a famous arm wrestler. Well, he is probably comparing numbers, but he's one of the top
Yeah,
arm wrestlers all over
yeah,
the world.
Hall of
Like
Fame
he's,
arm wrestler.
and that's also why he's always been very successful at jiu-jitsu because it wasn't just the physical aspects; it was the discipline, the mental aspects of committing to do something and really giving your all to make it make it happen.
And I think
And
it's
he definitely transmit that to all of us.
and I think it's also the attention for technique, because people don't think like arm wrestling is just strength, but you have to have technique too. So he saw that in
100%.
jiu-jitsu. He was so
Yeah.
technical. They hired him to do with Sylvester Stallone. He was
Hmm.
Sylvester Stallone trainer for the movie Over the Top.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Remember?
See,
He
we
has
know all this
crazy
stuff
stories
because we
too.
trained with this guy. Exactly. He used to share some of the stuff with us. We used to find a few videos about him as well. We're like, is that
In the
Dave? And
80s.
the mustache. We're like, wow, I didn't know videos were made that long ago. No, but
Yeah.
amazing, amazing, and I mean, an amazing opportunity to train with such a top quality fighters in general. The names that we were talking about earlier, I mean, each one of them have been very successful in mainly on the mats and then in their own life careers and paths. Dan Warren,
Yeah.
for instance, I remember what I really enjoyed about Dan is that he's bigger than me, but he was short and stocky.
Yes.
And and I get techniques from Dave Patton, techniques from Tony, I get techniques from Helson himself, techniques from Scott.
Yeah.
But when I got techniques from Dan, I'm like, I can actually relate to that because this guy is the short guy of the big guys. And
Yes.
there is one setup that to this day, I'm actually working in a little bit. I'm not okay. I'm not working on it. I'm finding so many things from one setup he taught me. Guy inside of my guard
Yeah.
with the gi.
Yeah.
I grab the opposite sleeve
Mm-hmm.
and then I go my arm under
Oh,
and then I lock the arm here.
I
He
remember.
taught me that one. From that one, which also won me tournaments, there is so many things to do.
Yes.
And Dan taught me that, and it was great because I was like, I can't. I'm struggling with when someone is inside of my guard, they're passing, they're breaking, and this and that. And once I got that knowledge, it was a whole different world, and it was great. I mean,
Yeah.
each one of those guys taught us so many different things. What the most enjoyable part for me was having the quality and the different body types that we had a chance to train with, and different backgrounds as well. That everyone's speed and strength was so different that it made us realize that we don't have to do what he does. I'm going to see how he's using his technique and use it in my own way.
Exactly.
And that was great. That was great. That was priceless.
Yeah, that's what I think what jiu-jitsu is about, like finding the technique that goes with your body, even with your personality, right? Like I'm always being kind of the slow type. So
Slow,
I never like,
slow, slow.
bro, that's my style, man. I
Sorry, I don't know if I said
what
slow. Did I say slow?
you did say slow. But I tap you, always tap you with my slow style. You never pass my guard.
This is not true, but I think you actually might have a few videos that you're never going to air. But anyways, what I found most frustrating about you on the match with the gi was the fact that when we got to a certain level, this is before I left the States 2007, you were already purple, I think, and I was a year blue belt,
Blue, yeah.
is that whatever I saw exactly what I knew what you were going to do, but I couldn't stop it. And I'm like, oh, I can see what you're doing. That's so lame. It's so annoying. And yet you got it. It took me a few, obviously, moves to figure out how are you getting there. But I mean, that was one of the last few times we had a chance to roll.
Bro, it's been so
I
long.
can assure you, I can assure you things are different now. No, but
Is this a
it
challenge?
was a great. Of course, it is a challenge. It's always a
We
challenge.
should do it. We're
Um,
gonna do it, man. For sure.
we need. We're only 15 hours away. But no, that's one thing that I definitely admire, looked up to, and I just needed to understand what's going on and how to beat it. But obviously, after a while,
You-
you realize that getting frustrated is not the answer. It's just the studying that your reception attention goes into sometimes the step ahead, but it's the moment or the setup where you need to actually focus a bit more in order to either stop it from happening or understand what's going on so you can stop it.
Right, bro. Eventually, you move on. People might not know what happened with you, how you end up in Australia. What's your life nowadays? Do you want to share what happened? Because after you left, people were a year, 2 years later. What? Where's Richard? He's still asking me about you. You know. So I was like, hey, he had to go. You know. So
Well,
for
in a very long story short, I was already about 8 years, almost 8 years in the States, and even though I had a chance to bring my mom, um, I just needed to see my family together, and it had been a bit too long, you know. I mean, we grew up that way. We need the family around, you know.
yeah.
I was very lucky to come across the people that I did, which later on obviously became family, like yourself. Um, but I came to Peru originally I wanted to do something for about, let's say, 3 to 6 months. I didn't know what it was, maybe holidays, maybe changing, path careers or finding something to do. I ended up buying a little restaurant in Lima. After almost a year, it didn't work out the way I wanted and I sold it. And then I wound up in Cusco. Now, what I was never really aware of is that tourism in Peru is huge, especially Cusco, or because of Cusco, Machu Picchu. And I ended up moving there for a job offer that had nothing to do with tourism. And then a lot of friends, because of speaking a bit of English, they offer me jobs in tourism here and there, and I kept telling them I don't know any history. I didn't study for this, and everyone kept on replying, "But you speak English."
You mean
And
like
I'm like, "How is that a
like
solution?"
a guide, being like a guide person?
Everything, everything,
Okay.
guide, even teaching. And what I didn't really understand or I didn't put the value on was the fact that yes, being able to speak English as I please, it's something that a lot of people study and spend a lot of time to get. And I already had it, but I just didn't think I was going to easily get so many choices or so many options. So what I really wanted to do was open up a bar. So I kind of try to merge a bit of those two ideas. So I opened up a bar with a friend from the States and a really good friend, Michael Giancardi. And the bar was at night. And in the morning, I worked for a few travel agencies, taking, guys from the airport to their hotels, introducing them to their tour guides,
Oh, I see.
sometimes train stations and stuff. So that was also my way to promote my business. So I had him in during the day, talk to him. My name is Rich.
Oh,
Got a
okay.
business. You guys are finished, and it worked out great. But you just never know when you're going to be and what life is going to throw at you and what amazing opportunities are going to arise, right? So I met this beautiful Australian girl, and we were together, and yep, we got pregnant. And for a variety of reasons, and mainly the system here is much better, let's say, than Peru when it comes to taking care of a child in the hospital and things like that. Because we were in Cusco, and Cusco is an amazing place, but the infrastructure is not the best. Lima
Right.
is also beautiful, but too many people. So she's from Australia. Naturally, this seemed like the best option. So I got here back in 2005, 14. And throughout this whole time, because I've been busy trying to build up a business and this and that, I never really got a chance to train as much. So I got stuck at a blue belt level. But thanks to working a bit in tourism, I had the chance to travel throughout South America. So I'm got the chance to go through Brazil a few times. I'm just going to the beach, minding my own business with a friend that I just met. And next thing you know, Renato Sobral is walking by, Babalu. I'm like, oh,
Babalu,
how come
nice.
no one is going crazy about this guy? And I'm like, hey, how you going? He's huge. And I'm like, hey, man, how's it going? Like he knew me. I met Anderson Silva. I met so many people. I got a chance to travel a little bit. I trained with a lot of really, really good people. And just for the fun of it, and because of I think, in a very humble way, for my skills, but for for the great base that I had with Fightworks, with all of you guys, I just felt like I was able to compete anywhere at any time, and I did. I won a few tournaments, not even realizing what I was doing. Mainly no-gi, mainly grappling tournaments, but it's that foundation that I always took with me. And there was a few things that obviously I got stuck in my game. But when I moved here to Australia to be with the family, of course, after a year that I was able to settle in, with a job and the house and everything, then I made the time to go back to jiu-jitsu. There's no other way. I had to. And I came across an amazing instructor, which I'm still with him, whose name is Antonio Mota. And he represents Atos here in Brisbane. Black belt, second degree, going on third pretty soon. And thanks to him and training, I mean, he set me obviously straight from really bad habits that I accumulated as a blue belt from grappling. And it was painful but necessary. It was great. So now I'm on my second year as a purple belt.
Nice,
lucky
bro.
enough to have the chance to thank you. Lucky enough to have the chance to pass on a bit of knowledge to the no-gi guys. So I teach the basics of no-gi here
Cool.
and try to overcome all the injuries that always happen to try to compete as much as I can. And thanks to Antonio and obviously the Atos organization, I had a chance to train and roll Andre Galvao. I've seen
really?
Angelica, George Hinga, Keenan Cornelius, JT Torres, which is a guy not much taller than me, but he's so heavy and so strong. He's amazing. And just getting all these amazing opportunities. So in a way, kind of living that dream that few like yourselves have accomplished, which is living doing what you love the most. I can't, different circumstances at the moment, but I can't do this for a living yet. But as long as I can breathe and walk, jiu-jitsu is always going to be in my life.
Bro, that's awesome. That's awesome that you stay training despite, of course, the whole chaos, trying to move into from the situation from the other. Of course, being a dad now. How is being a dad, bro? You're a good dad.
It's beautifully challenging. I wouldn't say I'm good, but look, I just want to be, one of the things that my son brought into my life is giving me the opportunity and the biggest challenge, which is become the best version of myself I can be. And that's all I want. If I am half of the man my father is, then I know I've made it, I'm very happy.
Yes, it's very cool to see you in your dad role. Like you were cooking earlier for him, and I would never imagine Richard cooking. Although you were very good in the kitchen,
Yeah, but that's a different game, though. That's you just put something and put a timer and then take it out. Now I actually have to make this from scratch. That's so weird.
Bro, how's Australia as a country? How's this virus has impacted over there? Is it pretty bad or?
It is as bad as it can be in most places, but the people is really what makes the difference here. Most of the people are very, very respectful, very aware of what's going on, and despite the whether it's true or not true, if the government is telling us to do something, then most people actually follow the rules, make it easier on everyone else. yes, there is a great deal of people that, because a lot of things are shut down, are losing jobs and so many other things that obviously come with that. But everybody pulling through together. Everybody try to help each other as much as possible,
Mm-hmm.
to the point that it was either today or yesterday that the government is eyeballing the idea of started easing up on the lockdown and opening a few more business, obviously to give people opportunity to get back to their jobs and keep the economy going, the engine going. But it's
Yes.
good. Everyone is dealing with this in a very good way, in a very positive way. Um, Obviously, there is not 100%. There is always the people that don't really understand what's going on. But the majority is actually it's very well aware and willing to help. One of the biggest things that I admire that they're doing here is, instead of, especially the government, instead of drilling so much on the negativity and the bad numbers, what the government does a lot here is, let's say, encourage or thanks their people. Yeah, ahorita salgo. Encourage and help the people to keep doing what they're doing. So
Oh, that's cool.
instead
Like,
of saying, no, you're not supposed to do that, we're going to put you to jail, they're like, you know what, guys, thank you very much for all your help. And if you keep doing this, we're going to move on even faster than other places.
yeah.
So what does that show you and what does that tell you? I actually feel good because I'm being part of this and I'm being recognized,
Mm,
and I want to do something. I want to do it. I want
yeah.
to keep it going. I want to do better. You know what I mean?
So
So
opposite of what's happening in Peru, right?
drastically opposite. Yes,
Yeah.
drastically opposite.
Yes, bro.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Bro, I'm very happy to talk to you, bro. I know you have
No,
things
thank
to do,
you.
but
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you very much.
we're talking, we always talk, we always keep in touch, maybe
Yeah.
just through a text or anything. But I asked you, hey man, we should do a live Facebook. People is gonna love those stories from the early days. And thank you for this conversation, and thank you
Oh, thank
for, because those early days you helped me a lot too, bro. You helped me a lot because you were already settled here
you.
when I arrived here, so you kind of showed me my way around things, and I'm forever grateful to you, to your
Oh,
friendship. And man, hope to see you, man. At one point, we have to
do
get
you
together.
do you remember learning how to drive?
You taught
Wow.
me, yeah, yes, of course.
I don't think you should talk about that because we'll both be going to jail, but it was interesting.
Yeah. Oh,
But yeah,
we borrow what's his name car, Carola's husband car. We
Bobby,
Bobby's car, right? Remember? We borrow his car. Um,
because it was automatic. You were my car is
yes, yes,
a
yes, yes,
manual.
yes. Yeah,
And we went
man.
to the hospital. So many great memories, bro. But no, thank you. Look, thank you very much. Always appreciate your time. Always appreciate your advice, your friendship. Your mom, which is the most loving mom after mine.
Bro, your
That
mom
I
is amazing. Your mom is
yeah.
golden heart too, man. How's she doing, by
So,
the way?
those,
How's family?
no, she's coping all right. She's coping all right.
All right.
Obviously, a few things going on, but nothing that good positivity and attitude won't overcome. You remember when both of our moms used to yell at us for fighting playing soccer? That was
Yes.
good times. Every single game there was a fight.
No,
That was
you'll
great.
fight. I didn't fight, bro. You were like, you
I
kick
play
people.
defense.
You play
I play
defense,
defense.
and you
That's
were
true.
either the ball or the guy, but you will kick something.
I'm not a soccer player. I was just grateful that I had a chance to kick someone with a reason.
Bro, the guys were flying. What happened? Richard just kicked those guys, man. You probably heard a few.
Good times, good times. But look, hey, thank you again very much for this opportunity. Obviously, hoping that things get back to somewhat normal rather soon. And yeah, always like, let's keep in touch and
Bro,
let's get this fight happen soon.
let's do it, bro. I appreciate.
Nogi,
Huh?
Nogi,
No
no.
whatever. We'll do it.
All right, my brother. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. You're in great hands at the basics of jiu-jitsu in Leesburg. I really, out of all the people that we train, and especially that had the chance to see come up as far as Marcos has, you're in amazing hands. He's not just an amazing teacher, but an amazing person. Obviously, wishing you guys all the best.
Thank you, bro. I'll say the same to your students. You guys are in good hands. Richard is awesome, super cool guys, and he's a great
Yep.
friend. And you guys are in great hands. Take care, bro.
Thank you very much, brother. You too.
Hope to see
We'll
you
speak
soon.
to you soon. Us.